Hello there, I'm Bob with Tuff Shelter Systems. We want to take a moment and introduce you to our geodesic dome-based emergency shelter system. A couple of years ago we decided to make ourselves, a friend of mine and myself, the strongest possible shelter we could to provide shelter in the wild should we have an earthquake or some other emergency and need to move outside of our homes and live in the wild in a tent situation. We decided to base that on the geodesic dome. As most of you know, a geodesic dome has been around since about the 50s. Buckminster Fuller is the inventor of it. Man was a genius. The structure is based on spheres and triangles, neither of which can be compressed, so it makes it extremely strong. Along those lines, we decided to shape it like the geodesic dome, and so that's what we've come up with. We had several criteria initially. We wanted to make it low cost. There are many fairly expensive tents on the market. If you want a four-season tent, which assumedly we would have to have, if you're going outside in the wintertime, you need a tent that or a shelter that will protect you from snow and cold weather, as well as the rest of the seasons. This will do that. Many of the Army tents cost $4,000 up to $11,000. We wanted our shelter to be affordable for not only for us, but for others who, like us, wanted to have good substantial shelter but not have to mortgage your house to get it. So we've been able to keep the cost low, and we'll tell you how we did that. The second criteria was we wanted it to be very lightweight and portable, so even a woman necessarily by herself could load the components into a minivan and flee an area that might be in danger, hurricane, earthquake, what have you. And three, we wanted to have it extremely strong, which the geodesic dome as the base frame for this structure, it is extremely strong. Now, you'll notice the cover material. We researched a lot of cover material, and we decided to go with this material because it's a lot like the material they put over the Denver airport, and you've seen similar structures where they use the new space-age polymers. It's extremely resistant to ultraviolet light. This is rated at over 3 years constant exposure. It has a grid system. As you get closer, you'll see it built into it, so that even if a tree were to fall and puncture a hole in it, it normally cannot be ripped, even with extreme pressure on it, so you don't get a shredding of the cover. So it's very durable, very strong cover. To keep the cost down, we did not cut and sew it into a dome shape. We have a large square piece of material that goes over the dome, and to necessitate fitting a square over a dome, you need to make pleats in it. But the pleats, although they are not aesthetically pleasing, they are very strong because you have no seams to rip. We'll go inside now. I'll show you the door here, and we'll go inside and show you the rest of the structure. Come on in. And as you can see, now we're inside the Tuff shelter. The door is quite spacious. We've designed it so that it takes two of our triangular sections. We remove the crossbar. You can leave that down most of the time unless there's a large storm, and then you would want to replace it for strength. The covered door is basically attached with strong number 10 zippers. It's easy to roll up, put out of place. Let's go across and I'll show you the strength of the frame. Now, the frame material, we did quite a bit of research, and there are several geodesic dome designs around, some very nice ones. Most of them are made out of steel. Steel is 4 times heavier than the aircraft alloy that we used. We met with a metallurgist and decided to make it lightweight, but yet we didn't want to sacrifice strength. This is 4 times lighter, this alloy is 4 times lighter than steel, and 87% as strong. The strength of this dome is engineered to take 150-mile-an-hour winds. Most of our houses will not handle that type of winds, as we saw from Katrina down in New Orleans. So we wanted a structure then that would be extremely strong and resistant to wind without having to have lots of guy ropes like you would have on a normal tent. I'll demonstrate. Unfortunately, a little heavy here. I weigh about 300 pounds. You wouldn't want to do this from a bar. You could deform the bar, but from the hubs, it distributes the weight equally over the whole structure. It doesn't quiver or vibrate when I put that kind of weight on it. We've calculated that each hub would take about 500 pounds before you would get any structural deformity. Basically, in a frame of this type, any load upon it distributes the load equally over the whole frame, and that's where it gets its enormous strength. The individual bars are fairly fragile, but as a unit, it's unexcelled in terms of strength and longevity. We've used large stakes, 24-inch stakes, equally spaced around the perimeter to stake it to the ground with tie wraps around those hubs to hold it down. I've personally been in it at 70-mile-an-hour gusts and thunderstorms. No movement. You'll get a little rattling of the cover, but no movement or creaking of the structure at all. I'm going to take just a moment to show you. In this scenario, you can use air chairs or hammocks, if you wish, to multiply and extend the floor space. The floor space will hold probably 15 people around the perimeter and in the middle, but you can also hang up several hammocks, sleep people above there if you wish. It's high enough that you'll notice we've put up a net. You can put up several of these nets around and use them because it's 9 to 10 feet tall, depending on the terrain it's sitting on. You can use these little cargo nets to put your bedding and so forth up off the floor for utilitarian use and to get rid of the clutter on the floor, so that then you can have a large floor space to live in. The floor space is 24 feet in diameter, 9 feet high, which equates out to 452 square feet, which is about the size of a modest apartment. Given the strength and the size of the structure, you could comfortably have a family with several children live in it throughout the year and be safe and sound. Now, we've also included some lightweight space-age insulation, multiple layers of mylar, air, and aluminum, and we can turn around and pan in on a piece of this. We put up just a few pieces to show what it looks like. We include in our kit a complete insulation kit which can be put up over the entire structure, which has a very high R value and will help to hold the heat in and keep the cold weather out. Also, we have provided, and we'll set up and show you that in just a moment, a nice wood stove that you can use to keep warm, of course. You can also use it to cook, to put a small stove on and to bake goods and the like, assuming we were in a survival situation. You must have three things. You must have food, you must have clean water, and you must have shelter, either clothing and or a structure and a way to keep warm. Those are the three sides of the triad of survival in terms of an emergency situation to keep you safe.